Welcome back to Just Talking. We have a great show for you today because we have a fellow program on Channel 14 and that does an excellent job, and that's Jason Hedman and Donny Stancato, hosts and producers of KTown Connects podcast. Nice to see you guys.
Hey, thanks for having us, Jason. You're one of my local heroes.
Thank you. Well, let's start off. For those who don't know about KTown podcast, what is it?
Well, it's just a local podcast where we connect with the community, business owners, politicians, anybody.
If you ever want to know a little bit more about someone in Kenosha, this is the show for you.
And it is. There's just so great guests and very informational about the community. Maybe those who haven't lived in the community come in and tune into it, and they learn a lot from it. So I guess the question is, where did this, Jason, where you want to start off? Where did this all come about? How did you guys decide to do this podcast?
Well, it all started in early 2020. We, there's something going on in the world, and we were just looking for something else to do. We wanted to try and we were all about supporting local. When I try and do something, we were trying to think of what we do, bounce ideas off. We're like, hey, let's create this media empire where we connect Kenosha, and you and I, we can start a website, and we can do news stories and this and that, a podcast. And we had all these crazy ideas, and we realized we're two people. We have full-time real jobs. We have other interests. We have families, and we can't do that much. But we decided we could do one thing right, and that is the KTown Connects podcast.
We were dreaming big, and we decided let's just do a podcast and get that out there. Podcasts are the hot trend right now.
So then, what's the format? What's the format when people tune into it?
Well, we're approaching our 100th episode, so with that many episodes, there's surely be someone in there. We've had people like Mayor John Taremi and Corey Elijah, Jake the Weather Guy, Kevin Irvin from Frank's Diner, tons of people, and we just kind of sit down and we kind of let loose. We kind of we talk to them, we kind of joke around, we get into their history, what connects them to Kenosha, what they're doing now, and we have a little fun, a little trivia game, ask them about some things about Kenosha. What's your favorite museum? What's your favorite local access channel? Things like that.
Yeah, we just like to have fun with the guests, just get to know these people on a different level.
One thing I have to credit you guys better than anybody is your advertising and promotion. Everywhere I go, social media, everybody has this liked, which is great. What's your secret? How do you get the word out there?
Well, we just love our community. We want to support our community, and if some of these businesses want to help us out and help us, because running a podcast isn't free, and it isn't really that cheap either. So we have expenses to pay for, and these businesses, like our season 5 sponsors, help us out with that, and we do as much as we can to help them back and promote them as well. Who's our sponsors for coming up?
So season 5, we have some old and new sponsors coming back. We give a little shout out to Wink Beauty Boutique.
They're great.
Hide and Cheese.
Great.
Roar. Shannon Franklin. Remax Realty.
Lucci's Grandview. Union Park Tavern. Aaron Hunzinger, he's a great materialist of A.H. Did It.
Welcome aboard.
And
of course, Frank's Diner,
the
lettering machine. And of course, we can't forget where we record at, Luigi's Pizza Kitchen. That is our studio, which is amazing.
It's fun. We've like ideas and offers where we record somewhere else, like a private studio, but we like the idea that we record actually in a Kenosha business.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you've seen flyers are everywhere. I think Copy Center, a lot of different places have them up too as well. And then again,
speaking of Copy Center, Jason, Sharon, the owner, is be one of our very first guests in season 5 coming up next month.
And those are the people I believe that make up that Kenosha core. It's like once you know these people and get to know them, you really feel what type of community this is.
Well, everybody has a story to tell, Jason. Everyone has a story of something to do. And when it connects to Kenosha, we can get other people interested as well. So that's what we try to do.
Let's talk also, you bring up topics on your show, and I figured I'd throw out the topics towards you guys because you're always asking them. Well, let's talk about the revitalization of downtown. You guys are right in the core of it. You talk to a lot of businesses, not just restaurant owners, maybe massage spa, it runs the gamut, but you're really even new businesses that pop up. But what's your thoughts on the revitalization of downtown?
Well, I think it's great. Anything that can bring the community together and let people shop local, eat local, that's always the key to any business's success and the community's success.
I want to see it expand and grow, and it's going very slowly. It's been going slowly for 40 years, but I think it's going in the right direction. At least we have all these great events down here in the lakefront. We are both like downtown lovers. This is like our side of town, and even though we love all Kenosha, we do kind of tend to embrace downtown.
One thing you always throw to the guests is who should be our next mayor? Now, not let's just say that, and you do, and some of those guests, I'm like, you know what, that person would make a good mayor or whatever. Do you have anybody in mind? Well, I'm not holding it to you guys, but that or a quality that the next mayor should have, because it's going to be next year coming
Oh,
up.
who do you think, Fred Carmichael?
Oh, I was thinking you, Jason, because you're wearing. I mean, you're already dressed for success.
Well, the one person, like I said, I'll throw one out, Kevin Irvin. I mean, when they say, just a likable person and just knows the area. I think that's what the community wants to see is just somebody that they can go up and talk to. And I think that KTown podcast brings some of those people out there. Now, whether they run or not, that's a totally different story.
Yeah,
but,
Kevin would say a big H no to that. If you want to run.
Right. And Steve Casey, I
What was-
remember Steve Casey was another good one. Whereas again, he's very in tune with the community and how he started a business and also on that. Honestly, you guys should write a book. You guys should take some snippets from this and then compile it into a book. It's the story of
Don't try to talk politics.
Right, exactly. Okay, let's talk switch gears, which both of you are involved in, is the art in the community. I believe Donny, you're on the Lemon Street Gallery board, is that correct?
Yes.
So okay, and Jason is an artist. So let's start off with Donny. What is the importance of the art community in Kenosha?
Well, I've always been a big fan of Beth Derry. She's one of my favorite human beings ever. And she asked me to kind of join the board, give it a little different perspective. I was a little nervous. I'm not really an artist, so to speak, but I enjoy the arts. I love the arts, and I love what the arts do for the community. Blah, blah, blah. I'm tooting the horn of Kenosha here, but I just love art, and I love what they do there and all the great galleries in town. But Lemon Street has a part of my heart.
Jason, how'd you get involved in the arts?
I've just always been a creator my whole life. I've always done something, whether it be a band or writing or art. I've always been creating something. So the last few years, I've kind of started to take my painting more seriously. And now you'll see me this summer. I'll be at the art markets, the public market. I'll be around other fairs, all kinds of stuff. You'll see me around this summer. Jason Hedman Art on Facebook.
Not only did you guys do the podcast, but what really impressed me and so did the community was this Orpheum documentary that was but I believe you're both involved in some capacity, or let's hear about it. So those who have not seen it, I encourage people to do. Jason, talk about this Orpheum documentary that you created.
Well, it's more of just a story I wrote, a piece I wrote. I've always been a historian and interested in that, and especially Kenosha history and Kenosha buildings, what they used to be, what their businesses. And last March, the Orpheum was approaching its 100th anniversary. So I decided to take a dive into the history of the building. And I got a newspapers.com subscription and dug through all these old Kenosha news stories about the building when it opened in March of 1922. It operated throughout the years. It had its ups and downs. It's an amazing story of the building, the way it kind of came and went. And the story is very lengthy. You can find it at haptoit.com. You can also find the video on our YouTube channel, KTown Connects. It's a lengthy story, but it dives deep, and I didn't want to cut anything out. It's like anything I wrote in there, I was like, well, I don't want to cut that because someone might find it interesting. So it dives into a lot of the old stories of the Orpheum and just the history of it. And on YouTube, there is a video. It's probably almost an hour long, and it's like the documentary kind of thing. But all it is me reading the story with images, slides of old movie posters, photographs from the paper, things like that I collected through the 100 years.
Yeah, and then for the story, we also got a tour from Alex, the current owner, and it was amazing to walk through that building.
Depressing, too.
It was intense.
Yeah.
Because Donny, didn't you record a lot of that footage in that?
Yeah,
area?
yeah, I did a lot of photos of it, and we had a nice interview with Alex, the owner, of what he wants to accomplish with it. It's all part of Jason's piece on halftoit.com. It's fantastic.
I'll tell you one thing, I'll credit research. There's so much in there, and I encourage people to log on and watch that as well.
And then that piece kind of dived into my history interests, and I did other pieces, other historical pieses. The old Common Grounds, I did a nice story about them. I just recently did Oblays. I did one about the modern apothecary building here, and I've just been kind of getting into that. And I'm looking to hopefully publish a book by the end of the year of a collection of all these stories, which you can read for free online, but maybe you'll buy my book.
There you go. And it seemed almost like you could take it on the road and do presentations on it. It was that good. Let's go back into the podcast. Was there any guests that stuck out from seasons 1 to 4 that they should check out that comes to mind, and why?
All of them are great.
Well, you're going to scroll through, you're going to find a business that you know, you're going to find a person that you know, or something like that to really, maybe if you're a new listener, to jump in and see. And we try to make most of our interviews timeless. We don't try to focus too much on exactly what they're doing that week, although sometimes that does happen. But we should try to keep it kind of general, so you can listen to Kevin Urban's interview from 2020, and it still kind of rings true today. As far as like one of our important episodes, we had a gentleman named Varnell Patterson on in early 2021, and he was an activist who I met during the unrest in August of 2020 and talked to him then. And we had him on, and he was a very moving episode. If you want, not as much fun as some of the other episodes, but it was very, very good episode. Very, very strong, I guess I would say. It's Varnell Patterson is his name.
Varnell Patterson. Okay.
And I also enjoyed our interview we did with the current mayor. We had a little fun, but we just kind of got to know him as a person instead of diving deep into all the politics and all that. We just wanted to get to know John as a person. I think the episode turned out very well. He tells a great story how he went to California,
like mining for gold or something.
Yeah. Who would have known something like that? So that's the kind of stuff that you learn on the KTown Connects podcast. Just, hey, all these business owners, politicians, celebrities, whatever, they're normal, just like all of us.
Any other teasers for season 5 that we should look for? Or is there?
Well, we're coming on our 100th episode, and we have a 100th episode spectacular coming up in the end of March.
It's gonna be great.
Where that's gonna be available for everyone to hear, and it's we're getting some of our old guests back on to kind of rib us a little bit and talk to us and turning the tables onto us, kind of like we're doing right now, but
there you go.
A little more in depth and a little more booze involved.
Does it seem like there's maybe a bigger picture to this podcast?
Well, I mean, this is just a hobby for us, Jason. We're not going to make a lot of money on it. We're not looking to change the world. We're looking for something to do in our spare time that we can kind of, do something good for the community and kind of like help support these local businesses, help people connect Kenosha, right. And that's all we're doing. We're not going to be famous from this. We're not going to make a ton of money. We know that. It's just for fun for us. And we're, 4 seasons in, we're still having fun.
Yeah. I mean, who knows when we get to 200 episodes?
Well, I'll tell you, it's working. I mean, like I said, the numbers show it, the flyers show it. It's like, people are connecting to this podcast. So then I guess we'll wrap this up as far as where can people tune in to see and hear your podcast.
We are everywhere, Jason. For one thing, we're on the Kenosha Community Media channel. You guys air us every Wednesday at 11 a.m. and Sundays at 5 p.m. You can catch a random episode there. We don't have video per se, but you can listen to the audio, and we have nice slides of photos that we take throughout the interview. And you can hear our podcast anywhere. If you Google KTown Connects, you're going to pop up. If you have any kind of podcast player, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts. We're on all of them, I think. If there's anyone that you can't find us on, let us know, ktownconnects@yahoo.com, and we'll get us on there. But we're everywhere on YouTube. You can find us on there. Am I missing anything?
You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff, and listen links are there. So hit that subscribe button.
Well, once again, congratulations on going into season 5 on the KTown Connects podcast. It's actually an excellent program, and thank you both for talking to us today.
Hey, thank you, Jay.
Thank you for having us, Jason. Appreciate everything you do for the community.